Every pill, every supplement, every testosterone booster you have ever seen advertised is built on one giant lie. The lie that your performance problem is physical. It is not. And the companies selling you those products know it. Think about how much money you, or men you know, have spent on quick fixes, capsules that promise to boost T levels, sprays, patches, powders, clinics charging thousands of dollars for treatments that work for a few weeks and then stop. An entire industry worth billions of dollars, all pointed at one place, your wallet. And none of it addresses the real cause. Because the real cause is not in your bloodstream. It is not in your hormones. It is not in your diet or your gym routine. It is in here, your psychology, your mind. The invisible patterns running silently in the background of every intimate moment. Patterns you were never taught to see, never taught to understand, and certainly never taught to change. Today, that changes. In the next few minutes, I am going to hand you the 7 psychology facts that are actually controlling your sexual performance. The facts that billion-dollar supplement companies do not want trending. The facts your doctor skips because there is no prescription pad for them. And the facts that, once you understand them, will make you realize you were never broken to begin with. You were just uninformed. Stay with me to the end, because fact number 7 is the one that pulls everything together. And it is the most powerful thing I tell the men who sit across from me in my office. My name is Dr. Julia Rhodes. I am a licensed men's sex therapist, and over the course of my career, I have worked with hundreds of couples from all walks of life. Men who came to me feeling broken, embarrassed, and ashamed, and left my practice with something they had not felt in years: confidence, connection, and control over their own bodies. This channel exists because I believe every man deserves access to the truth about his own psychology. Not just prescriptions, not just supplements, not just quick fixes, but real, science-backed understanding of how the male mind shapes male performance. And before we go any further, I want to ask you something important. If this channel is helping you, if you have ever watched one of my videos and thought, I needed to hear this, please take 5 seconds right now and hit that subscribe button. Turn on the notification bell, because every single week I upload videos designed to help men like you understand what is really happening inside their minds and their bodies, so you can perform, connect, and live the way you deserve to. Now, let us get into it. Fact number 1. Performance anxiety is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Here is something that too late. The very act of worrying about your performance is itself the cause of poor performance. Let me explain the science. When a man begins to feel anxious before or during intimacy, his brain interprets that anxiety as a threat. It does not know the difference between I am scared of this lion and I am scared of disappointing my partner. To the brain, fear is fear. So what does the brain do? It activates the sympathetic nervous system, better known as the fight or flight response. Now, here's the problem. Sexual arousal, erections, desire, full physical engagement, is controlled by the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system, the calm system. These two systems cannot operate at full capacity at the same time. When fight or flight is engaged, your body redirects blood away from non-essential functions, including sexual function, and toward your muscles and survival systems. In practical terms, anxiety shuts down arousal. The more anxious you are, the more your body physically cannot perform. And then, here is where the trap closes. The fact that you struggled makes you more anxious the next time, which makes you struggle again, which makes you more anxious, and on it goes. This is why performance anxiety is not just a feeling, it is a neurological cycle. And the only way to break it is to understand it, which is exactly what you are doing right now. The first step is simply knowing that what you experienced was not a failure of your body. It was your nervous system doing exactly what it was designed to do, and that can be changed. Fact number 2. The brain is the most powerful sex organ in the male body. I say this to every man who sits down in my office for the first time, and almost every single one of them looks surprised. We live in a culture that treats male sexuality as almost entirely physical. Get the right medication, the right supplement, the right hormone level, and everything will be fine. But that is a dangerously incomplete picture. The truth is this: erections begin in the brain, not the body. Before a single drop of blood flows where it needs to go, your brain must first send the signal. Psychological arousal must precede physical response. If your brain is distracted, stressed, disconnected, or emotionally shut down, your body will not respond, no matter how healthy you are physically. Think about it this way. Have you ever been completely attracted to someone, physically healthy, no medical issues, and still nothing happened? That is your brain, not your body. Researchers have found that men who report high levels of emotional disconnection during intimacy, men who are mentally elsewhere, thinking about work, finances, past failures, show significantly reduced physiological arousal, even when physical stimulation is present. Your body is listening to your mind at all times, always, without exception. This means that the most important sex organ you can develop and strengthen is not in your pants. It is between your ears. And the great news is, unlike physical limitations, mental and psychological patterns can be retrained, rewired, and rebuilt. That is the entire foundation of what I do. Fact number 3. Pornography can rewire your brain's reward system. I want to be very clear about something before I say this. I am not here to shame anyone. I am not making a moral argument. What I am about to share with you is neuroscience, pure and simple. Excessive pornography consumption can, and in many men does, directly impair real-life sexual performance. Here is the mechanism. Your brain's reward system runs on dopamine. Dopamine is the chemical of anticipation, motivation, and pleasure. Every time you engage in something pleasurable, dopamine is released. Pornography, particularly the high stimulation, high novelty content that most men are consuming, triggers massive dopamine releases, repeatedly, rapidly, far beyond what the human brain evolved to handle. Over time, your brain responds to this overstimulation the way it responds to any drug. It down-regulates. It reduces the number of dopamine receptors available. This is called desensitization. The result? Real-life intimacy, which produces far more modest dopamine signals, starts to feel underwhelming by comparison. The brain, now calibrated to expect intense stimulation, does not respond as strongly to a real partner. Arousal is harder to achieve. Maintaining engagement becomes a struggle. And the man has no idea why, because physically, nothing is wrong. This phenomenon has been documented in clinical research, and it is far more common than medical professionals typically acknowledge, particularly in younger men. The good news, and there is very good news here, is that the brain is neuroplastic. It can recover. The rewiring can be reversed, but it requires awareness first. And now you have that. Fact number 4, testosterone is driven by confidence, not just biology. Most men think of testosterone as something that just happens to them, a biological given, fixed by genetics and aging. And while biology certainly plays a role, research has revealed something that changes everything about how we think about male hormones. Testosterone responds to your psychology. Studies in behavioral endocrinology, a field that examines how behavior and hormones interact, have consistently found that a man's testosterone levels rise and fall based on his experiences, his confidence, his perceived status, and even his wins and losses. When a man experiences success, a job promotion, a physical competition, even a moment of social dominance, his testosterone rises. When he experiences defeat, humiliation, or chronic powerlessness, his testosterone falls. This matters enormously for sexual performance because testosterone is directly tied to libido, sexual confidence, and the physiological readiness to engage. What this means, practically, is that a man who feels like a failure, at work, in his relationship, in his own self-perception, is biochemically creating the conditions for poor sexual performance. It is not weakness. It is not laziness. It is hormones responding to psychological inputs. And it also means the reverse is true. Building genuine confidence through achievement, through physical discipline, through therapy, through community, can measurably shift your hormonal baseline. Confidence is not just a feeling. For men, it is a physiological state. Fact number 5. Chronic stress hormones biochemically destroy sexual performance. I want to push back against something I hear all the time, both from patients and from popular culture. When a man says he is stressed and it is affecting his sex life, people often say, "Just relax, it's all in your head. Don't let it get to you." That is not just unhelpful advice. It is scientifically incorrect. Chronic stress produces chronically elevated levels of cortisol, the primary stress hormone in the human body. And cortisol, when sustained at high levels over weeks and months, does something very specific and very damaging. It suppresses testosterone production. This is not metaphorical. This is biochemistry. Cortisol and testosterone are produced using many of the same precursor molecules. When the body is in chronic stress mode, it prioritizes cortisol production. Because from an evolutionary standpoint, surviving an immediate threat is more important than reproduction. Testosterone, and with it, sexual drive and function, gets deprioritized. The men I see in my practice who are under the most stress, high-pressure careers, financial strain, relationship conflict, unprocessed grief, are almost universally experiencing some form of sexual dysfunction. And most of them have never been told that the stress itself is the physiological cause. This is why managing stress is not just a lifestyle tip. For men, it is a clinical sexual health intervention. Exercise, sleep, therapy, proper boundaries, mindfulness. These are not soft suggestions. They are medical tools. If you are chronically stressed and experiencing performance issues, your body is not broken. It is responding exactly as designed. The question is whether you are willing to address the root cause, not just the symptom. Fact, your attachment style directly affects your sexual performance. This is perhaps the most underappreciated fact on this entire list, and in my clinical experience, it is one of the most powerful. Attachment theory, developed by psychologists John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth, describes the deep emotional bonding patterns that humans develop in early childhood and carry into every significant relationship of their adult lives. Research has identified 3 primary attachment styles in adults: secure, anxious, and avoidant. Securely attached individuals generally feel safe in relationships. They can be vulnerable without fear, and they can receive closeness without shutting down. Anxiously attached individuals fear abandonment and rejection. They constantly monitor their partner for signs of disinterest. They interpret ambiguity as threat. Avoidantly attached individuals fear emotional engulfment. True intimacy triggers their defenses. They withdraw as closeness increases. Here is what the research shows. Men with anxious or avoidant attachment styles report significantly higher rates of sexual dysfunction, even when they are physically healthy and genuinely attracted to their partners. Why? Because sex is not just a physical act. It is an act of profound emotional vulnerability. And if your nervous system has learned, through childhood experience, past trauma, or relationship wounds, that vulnerability is dangerous, it will protect you from it, even during intimacy, even when you do not consciously want it to. For these men, the problem is not desire. They desire their partner. The problem is that emotional safety has never been established, and without it, the body cannot fully relax into arousal. If you recognize yourself in the anxious or avoidant descriptions, please know this: attachment styles are not permanent. They can be changed with the right therapeutic support. That is exactly what relationship and sex therapy is designed to do. And it works. Fact number 7. Mindfulness is clinically proven to restore male sexual performance. At the beginning, that fact number 7 would tie everything together. Here it is. If performance anxiety hijacks the nervous system, if mental distraction shuts down arousal, if stress hormones suppress testosterone, if emotional disconnection creates physical dysfunction, then the solution, or at least the foundation of the solution, has to address the mind directly. And that is exactly what mindfulness does. I know what some of you are thinking. Mindfulness? That is for people who do yoga and drink green tea. That is not for me. I hear you. And I want to share what the clinical research actually says, because it may change your mind. Multiple peer-reviewed studies on sexual dysfunction in men have found that mindfulness-based interventions produce measurable, significant improvements in sexual function. We are not talking about small effects. We are talking about men who had been struggling for years, showing clinically meaningful recovery after consistent mindfulness practice. Here is why it works, through the lens of everything we have covered today. Mindfulness activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the system that anxiety shuts down. It trains the brain to stay present rather than spiral into performance worry. It rebuilds the connection between mind and body that pornography and stress have eroded. It creates the internal emotional safety that anxious and avoidant men cannot otherwise access. And it directly counteracts the cortisol response by training the brain's stress regulation pathways. In my practice, one of the most common things I teach men is something called sensate focus, combined with present moment awareness. It is a structured way of relearning how to be in your body during intimacy, not as a performer, not as someone being evaluated, but as a fully present participant. The results can be profound. Men who have spent years feeling broken discover that they were never broken to begin with. They were simply caught in psychological patterns that no one had ever helped them identify or address. That changes today, for you. Let me bring this all together for you. Your sexual performance is not just a physical event. It is a neurological, hormonal, psychological, and relational event. And every single one of those dimensions is within your power to influence. Performance anxiety creates a cycle you can break. Your brain can be retrained toward arousal instead of fear. Pornography's effects on your reward system can be reversed. Your confidence can literally shift your hormones. Your stress response can be managed, not suppressed, managed. Your attachment patterns can be healed, and your mind can be trained to become your greatest ally in the bedroom instead of your greatest obstacle. None of this requires you to be perfect. None of this requires you to have it all figured out immediately. All it requires is that you stop suffering in silence, start understanding what is actually happening inside you, and take one step, just one step, toward change. If this video gave you something, if even one of these facts made you think, that explains something I have been feeling, then I want to ask you for something in return. Subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that bell icon so you never miss a video. Because every week I bring you the real science behind men's sexual health, mental performance, and relational well-being. The things your doctor does not have time to tell you, and that no one else is saying in plain language. And if you are dealing with something specific, if what you heard today resonated because you are living it, drop a comment below. Tell me what is going on. I read every single comment, and your experience helps me create content that truly serves you. You can also click the link in the description below to book a consultation with me directly, or to access the free resource guide I have created for men experiencing performance challenges. You are not alone in this. Thousands of men are watching this video right now, feeling exactly what you are feeling. And every single one of them has the capacity to change. I'm Dr. Julia Rhodes. I will see you in the next video.